I'm always ready, buddy.
All right. I'll let you know when we.
Just a hit. What do I need to know about this live stuff?
Nothing.
It goes on Facebook Live. There's people watching live, So.
Okay. It might be a little bored.
Nah, I don't think so.
Nah, they'll be fine.
All right, we're live, guys. We are live.
Excellent.
Hey, what's
live.
up? We are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode. This is our double header for today. We did an episode this morning earlier with incredible comedian, now a cop upstate, John Maroney, and now we have our second guest here. We're back for another episode. This is our what is it? Let's play 2. So this is our second one. Police Go for Cuff. This one's after hours. I'm gonna let Bill introduce our guest tonight. It's a pleasure.
Our guest tonight is so important, especially for you young cops. He's retired NYPD captain, too smart to stay on the job. So he got out. He did one like a Mark DeMeo, 20 and out. But he runs a business called Finest Financial, and he advises cops. He's a financial advisor, obviously. He's been doing my taxes for years. He's helped me out tremendously. He's given me some great financial advice. So when you come on the job, everyone always asks the guy who's the hairbag in the precinct, oh, what should I do financially? Do not fucking do that, all right?
Right, wait, Bill, say his name before you go into it.
I'm sorry. We forgot. This is retired Captain Joe Cain, the CEO of Finest Financial.
Yeah.
You look good, Joe. You look relaxed. You look like you got about 2 to 3 million in the bank.
Things are okay. Oh, good.
I love when you confront someone that's got some coin. They're like, I'm all right. I'm all right.
No complaints.
That's good. No one should ever be embarrassed about having coin, right?
At the moment, doing well.
That's great. So, something we were going to ask you, because Mark is a financial disaster. And we were going to see if maybe there's some way you could help him, So I'm gonna let you, Joe, to show your talent and expertise. Just ask him some questions, sort of get a feel of where he's at.
I'm not exactly sure what you're looking for me to do.
No, listen.
No, unemployment, you're getting a federal bump, right?
It's a bump. What are we talking about? No. We're trying to eliminate the bumps.
No, the unemployment bump, 600 a week. That ended just a couple weeks ago, right? So hopefully.
Yeah, but the thing was, I was working during the time. It's funny. I got a job as a doorman, part time.
32 BJ.
Yeah, and what happened was when the COVID first hit, they were like, "You're an essential worker," and I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm a doorman." And it's not even a real door; it's a revolving door. They don't need me at all. And instead, I had to go to work every single day during this whole thing.
Wearing a mask like a jackass, holding the door for people.
Yeah, pretty much.
Full time, no interruption at all.
No.
A lot of people with even the slightest reduction in hours, if you get even a penny from New York State or whatever state you're in for unemployment, the feds were kicking another 600 a week. So if you work 4 out of 5 days, you get a little piece from your state and you get a big federal bump. That's what most people were doing.
Perhaps I couldn't figure that out when I was signing on there, where I could go for that, because like you said, if you're working 4 out of 5 days a week, you get a tiny little bit, but plus that 600. But the capper there was if it falls under $500 and something, which I was always over every week.
Oh, okay.
So that became a problem. And not only that, but I worked in the police academy, and that job was a 1099 job. But
that's a zero, no?
But it also it paid $63 an hour. I was working as an actor.
Oh, good.
So to $2,000 just went out the window like that. And then also, being a comedian, I lost more than $2,000 a month doing comedy. Way more than $2,000 a month. So I lost that too. So within this little scope of, I lost 2 staples. The job at the door was just my paranoia, being a divorced man, that it just keeps something
steady.
Yeah, just if you don't have work that week in comedy, you don't have to freak out. If You know what I'm saying?
Well, how much time did you do in PD before you left?
20.
Oh, you did the full 20. I thought you vested. Okay,
Excuse
good.
me?
I thought you vested out to go live your dream.
No. I was a comedian while I was on the job, but I did my whole
We
20.
know you were a comedian while you were on the job.
What?
I said, we know you were a comedian on the job. How could you not be?
Well, also too, you know what happened? I overestimated because I never missed. I pretty much worked out a schedule where I could perform, and I thought that once I retired, that well, I'll just make more money now doing comedy, that I'm available more. But the truth was, I was available as much as I was going to be available, and there wasn't really that bump up. So that's why I got the job as a doorman.
Okay.
It was like 2 years after I retired, because the comedy money, it was steady, but it was what it was. And then one thing about comedy too is like you could have like a $1,400 weekend, and then the next week make $250 that weekend, and then an $800 weekend, and then it's $300. There's just no consistency to it.
Right. I can see that the doorman gig just for a steady something, right? You keep the benefit. Well, you don't really need benefits. You got the pension coming in. I'm guessing the ex gets a piece of the pension like most guys.
Yeah,
But you get some.
yeah.
So this thing screwed you completely, right? Your whole income stream got shut down.
You know what I tell people all the time? I said, it's just God doesn't give you this face and money at the same time.
Right.
Nah.
And if he
Why
does,
couldn't we have been born rich?
I'll take the money. I'll take the money and keep the face.
listen to me. God doesn't give you this face and money at the same time. But if he does, he makes you gay. You see?
Okay.
So
So
I
do you have
challenge
money
you.
or you don't have money?
Somebody's like, well, Brad Pitt is not gay. I'm like, no, Brad Pitt is gay. They're all.
Joe,
No.
I could see all the people you're doing taxes for on Facebook Live. They're all coming up watching you, man.
Is that right?
And Joe, I don't know if it was the last time I went and had my taxes done with you, but it was the year that Trump had changed some of the tax laws.
Right.
And I actually saw cops coming out of your office crying.
Yeah, it was unpleasant for some people, but it was.
Right?
It really wasn't a bad deal. Most people paid less tax. It was kind of confusing for a lot of people because what they did is they cut the tax rate significantly, but they cut the withholding significantly as well. So much less tax was withheld from most people. So the same guy making $100 grand a year ends up paying $30,000 in taxes. You take 40 from, you get back 10, you settle on 30, you walk away. This is how it goes. Good luck to you.
Right.
You're making the same 100 this year. The tax bill is only going to be 25, but they only took 15. So you got to kick them 10,000. How can it be? I usually get 10. Yeah, but they only took 15 this year. They usually take 40. A lot of guys couldn't see the rest. I'm like, dude, look at your check.
So how do you level the playing field so that doesn't happen to you?
Well, you just make sure that your withholding is correct. You got to be at single zero.
So it was a problem with withholding. A lot of these guys thought that they were living large, and then they found out they weren't.
At the end of the year.
At the time.
Right. And the pension section defaults to married 3 if you don't tell them something different. So you got to make sure you're on that too. So they won't take it up. You won't find out to the end of the year.
So why is it that in the police profession, guys, instead of asking a competent financial advisor like yourself, people seek advice on Facebook from other cops? Why do
I honestly can't answer that. I really don't know, but it's been that way forever. I mean, myself included. That's how I got started. Same thing we were talking about earlier. The guys
I always laugh, Joe. I always laugh about when we first came on the job, and the hairbags, the old timers would say, "Take a pension loan every 6 months. It's your money.
Yep.
It's the smartest thing to do."
Matter of fact, drop out of the pension. That's a waste of time.
That was the other man. Oh my
Horrible
God.
advice. Then the same thing in '85, the FERC comp comes along and the same handbags like, don't do it, kid. They're going to steal your money. So I read it. I said, you know what? I don't think these guys are right. I think this is a pretty good idea. I'm getting involved. You guys do whatever you want. And I stopped listening to them and started.
Well, speaking of that, things are much different on the job now. I don't think that they have like things were different when I retired. You had the 457, right?
So that's a deferred comp.
And then you had obviously the pension, but not something
The
changed.
ITHP,
Oh, the overage. He's talking about the ITHP,
Right.
50% extra, which was the smartest thing to do if you could afford it. Because it paid 8.5%, right?
8.25, but tax deferred to 8.25. I wish I could get that today in commercial accounts. It's not happening.
Right.
That's a beautiful return, steady.
So if you could give advice to the people that might be coming out now, what would it be? Or the people that are like
It's
in
entirely
the,
different because the pension, I think you're up to tier 400 now. Who the hell knows? We were tier 2A, I think. I think they're tier 6 actually. But there's no pension loans anymore. They can't do ITHP. That's not one of the options. They can't, load their pension up anymore. Their final, the pension is just the final salary. It's not a great deal anymore.
Is
But, like anything else,
overtime, and is overtime not pensionable?
I'm not exactly sure about the overtime.
COPA. They
I
don't,
don't think so.
Wow.
I don't
It's not
think,
a great deal.
I
It's
don't
like
think,
having a security guard job now, you know?
yeah, I don't think the overtime is pensionable. I think they go by the cost of living increases,
That's a
COPA.
joke. Their cost of living adjustments half the CPI in the first $18,000, which adds up to nothing. $7 a month. Where are you going with that?
Yeah.
So
You know, Joe, some of the things that I've learned also from coming to you over the years is that, and another mistakes young cops, and not even young, even old cops, they make is they'll take a pension, well, they can't anymore, but they take a loan or they take money out of their deferred comp to do a home improvement loan. And could you educate our audience as to why that's the worst thing you could
it's not a
find?
great idea. Actually, with this whole coronavirus thing, with this CARES Act, where you can take your money out of your retirement accounts without paying penalties, you can spread it over 3 years. My phone's blowing up. A lot of guys want to know if they can take the deferred comp out without a penalty. I said, of course you can. There's never a penalty on deferred comp. But let me ask you this: what changed? The plan was you're working as a policeman, you're kicking away to the side for later when you're not doing the police thing. You're still getting paid as a policeman. What changed other than they said you could have the money? You're still going to get old. You're still going to leave the police. You're going to want that money to be there. Tell me the plan. Why do you need it? And some guys realize, you know what, I don't need it. I'm not going to do it. You're right. I need that to be there. That's why I put it there. Disregard. Another guy's, oh, I want the money. I want to fix the house. I explain the math to them, but I'm not a psychiatrist, bro. I can't, some guys just,
You got to be both, man. You got to be both.
I don't want to have a mortgage. I have a guy's cash out all the retirement accounts, pay off a low interest rate mortgage. Like, why would you do that? You're paying 40% taxes to get out of a 2.5% mortgage. That doesn't make any sense. I don't want to have a mortgage. All right. Well, that's an emotional thing. That's not a money thing. I can't help you with that.
Yeah, that's pretty damn stupid, right? Yeah, right. Pay 40% to get out of the
2.5
40%,
deductible, tax
40%,
deductible,
yeah.
3, 4, even 4.5, 5, whatever. That just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Hey, kid, take a pension loan every 6 months.
And
That's
also,
saving a lot.
what it does to your credit, I would imagine, if you get rid of your biggest, value in credit, which is the house, and you get out of that, it's paid off for now.
Yeah, I don't really know what effect that would have on your credit. It might detract from a little bit, but if you're using your revolving credit properly and paying it off, and you should be fine. Credit's not gonna be a problem.
Yeah, man.
And Joe, when you're retired, say like myself, I know you have to take your deferred comp out when you're 70 years old, right?
70, actually 72 now with the new rules.
Oh, it's 72.
Not the whole thing. It's called the required minimum distribution.
And what like percentage is it? Is that all a personal thing? But what's the least percentage you could take out? Like say
It's based on your life expectancy. They want you to die broke. So if you're 72, you're a male, you're going to make it to 85. So you got 13 years. What's the balance on December 31 divided by 13? You have to take that much this year. Next year,
Wow.
December 31, what's the balance? How many years you got left? Divided by 12, you got to take this. If you don't take it, there's a 50% penalty, 50% penalty. So obviously you want to take the money, pay the tax on it and put it in the bank or give it away, do whatever you want to do.
Wow. So
What
you
happens
should
to the
probably
deferred comp? God forbid you pass away before 72.
What about it?
What happens to it? Does it? You have beneficiaries to that?
Yeah, so your name beneficiaries on the account goes to them. They changed that rule too. If it's not a spousal, if it's not your spouse, it's called the non-spousal. You have to, it becomes an IRA for your friend, your daughter, whoever it is, somebody who's not your wife, your husband. The rules say you got to have it empty in 10 years. So again, they don't want you to have a lot of money when you're dead. They want the tax on it.
But they'd have to wait until it was you turned 72, right? It would be
No, you're dead, so you're out. It doesn't matter if you anymore. Now we're talking about your beneficiaries. If it's your wife, it just becomes hers. The rule was hers the whole time, and we just keep moving. Anybody other than your wife, your kids, anybody other than your wife, you have 10 years to empty the account, no matter what's in it. You can take, you can wait till year 10 and then empty it in the taxable distribution, but that's the deal.
Wow.
That's interesting.
It's interesting. I don't know. I'm not really sure what the plan. I guess they want the money on the retirement savings. They never got their piece, and they want their piece. There's big deficits out there. Bill, I never answered your question about why the cops go to, well, Facebook now, but traditionally the locker room. I don't know, man. I think that a lot of guys are reluctant to say they don't understand something or they don't know it. They feel I don't have a lot of money. I don't want to go talk to this guy. But I think that's all the more reason why it's more important to pay attention. We never made a lot of money as cops. That's why you got
No.
to pay attention.
No.
And
And
not
most
for
of us
stupid
were
shit.
not numbers guys.
What's that?
That's why we became cops. If we were smart with numbers, we'd be engineers and
Exactly.
mathematicians.
Right.
But we weren't numbers guys, so we went on the police department.
Exactly.
So, yeah, no, that always amazes me. I mean, even to this day, I see people on Facebook. Hey, does anyone know about the loan? And they come. I'm like, why are you asking on Facebook?
You go to every single day, you're going to see that posted, and there's going to be people act on that advice. It's amazing to me. It's fucking amazing. It's crazy.
I love it. Yeah, I said the first advice I'm going to give you is don't ask financial advice on Facebook.
A bunch of strangers that right? Makes no sense.
Exactly.
But if you do it right, I mean, the police thing's it's a good gig, man. The pension doesn't suck.
Well, it was. I don't know if it still is, Joe. I think now it's almost like a security guard job with what they've done to
Well, I'll
it.
tell you, I have an 18-year-old son. We're not talking about police work at all. He's in
No.
college.
No.
Not happening.
Yeah, I have two kids. My son's going to be a nurse. Well, he's in nursing school right now. And my daughter, she's graduated. She's a senior, and neither one of them want to go. I never, encouraged them or pushed them towards it, but I didn't push them against it either.
Right.
It just wasn't talked about. But the idea of retirement too. I mean, all this stuff with the 457, 401ks, pensions. The reality is anybody going to really retire anymore? Do you think so?
Yeah. See, the thing is, people get confused or not confused. It's a little misleading the word retire. Police retire is not retire. I left on my 41st birthday. I had kids. You don't go to half pay on your 41st birthday and survive. You go to work.
Right.
So the pension, provides a little supplement, but you got to go out there and do something.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about, police retire, we're talking about actually retire, when you stop all earned income. Because there's a difference. I mean, I have friends of mine that retire and they say, I'm not going to work anymore. I go, you're 45 years old. How are you not going to work anymore? You're going to go nuts. You're going to die of cirrhosis in 10 years. You got to get up and get out of bed and go do something.
Well, speaking of the 20-year retirement, since we both did that, let me ask you a question. My idea was always, because of the comedy and the entertainment business, that I would be able to secure my pension, lock that in, and then have completely different other income, like a brand new job.
Right. That's
like a cushion, basically.
Right.
$5,000, $6,000, $7,000 cushion every single month before your feet even touch the floor.
Right.
So that was the game plan. But now you're thinking about, okay, somebody who doesn't have that option, should they stay till 25? Should they stay till 30?
If they don't have the option of what? Join a pension?
If you don't really have another career yet.
Well, you certainly can't just go to half pay if you have obligations, financial obligations. So you kind of line shit up or keep going to work. I mean, that's kind of an easy one.
Because
it definitely pays to stay 25 years.
For these guys now, yeah. I mean, it used to be guys like us, you do 20, you go do something else for 20 years, then you're kind of done with your working life.
Right.
Or you can do 30 and your pension gets much, much better at the 60th and all that stuff. And you probably don't have to work again, which a lot of guys still do. I have a few friends that are wrapping up 30, 32 right now. They're done. They don't need to work. It's over. The kids are educated, the bills are paid. So
But it's all, like you said, it's the whole actuarial of how much money you have as compared to how long you're going to live also. Right?
Well, that's the biggest variable. I mean, my job would be made so much easier if they would just give me that one data point. When are you going to die? Tell me when you're going to die, and I'm going to tell you exactly what we need to do.
Right.
Without
you should start spending all your money now.
Immediately, right.
You're going to die pretty soon.
Right.
it's funny that you say that. You could actually probably go for a test right now or in the not too distant future, a DNA test, and they could pretty much narrow it down.
Oh, absolutely. There's a website called deathclock.com that I used to fool around with guys. I go to deathclock.com. That'll tell you when you're going to die. And it was a little bit scary, a couple of questions. And it had me dead at like 73. I'm like, fuck, that's kind of a low number. That shouldn't be right. But I'm hoping it's not right. But there's another one. Prudential has one, live to 100. And basically more questions, your lifestyle. That's really what it comes down to, your lifestyle and your outlook on stuff. And then, I think I'm going to make it like 84, 85, which is usual.
Did you start
lying?
Did you start lying to deathclock.com?
No, I told him the truth. I'm like, I'm a pretty optimistic dude, generally speaking, I guess. I don't trust anybody other than that. I'm good.
As long as I don't get killed by some young cop who has to pay $2,000 in taxes.
Yeah, no, believe me, I know what you mean. I wish I had a me back then because the guys in the fucking locker room were killing us. It was just horrible advice.
Yeah.
And then, the old retired guys coming in selling you life insurance, whole life. Dude, you're a cop making 50 grand a year. You probably don't need a whole life insurance policy.
Right.
That's not the right thing for you.
But Joe, when we first came on too, the life expectancy of cops that retired was about, I don't know, 5 to 7 years after they retired, right?
There were statistics out there like that. Actually, I was kind of surprised recently. I saw a stat that cops still die about 10 years sooner than non-cops. Just
Wow.
from apparently it's a stressful operation.
Hey,
Yeah.
since I got you, let me ask you a question. I have life insurance policies for my kids because when I retired, well, I have life insurance policy, but when I retired, I took my maximum pension. Okay. And obviously,
No option max pension. When you die, it's over.
you lose your pension if you die. So obviously you pay out of pocket for that. Now, that's one of those things where, like I said, my son graduated college. He's in nursing school right now. In 13 months, he's going to be making probably 80 grand. My daughter's graduating this year. So at some point, is it possible to lower like my life insurance value and plus the amount of money that I pay every single month now?
Absolutely. And when your insurance needs change, you can always change that. Life insurance is a one-sided contract. If you do what you're supposed to do, pay the premiums, they have to do what they're supposed to do, which is honor the contract. If you decide you don't want to pay, then it's over. It's fine. But if you have a whole life, and you said whole life, so I'm assuming that's what you got, you're paying pretty heavy for it. You probably don't need that for these kids. So what you'll end up doing is probably just buy paid up insurance with what the cash value is and be done. No more payments, and you're done. They get a piece.
Can you repeat that again? I missed that.
There's a thing called the single premium life insurance policy. So if you have some cash value in his whole life, you can actually just turn that over to the insurance company and say, tell me what that's going to be worth for me when I die. Whatever you got in it, 10, 20, 30 grand, you follow me, whatever cash value is, we'll say,
I don't think I have whole life.
All right. That's what I didn't think you did. You shouldn't have whole life. That's why I kind of made a face. You probably have term.
I had whole life when I was younger, but
you don't need it.
Now I have term.
Right. But when you said for the kids, you have insurance on yourself and they're the beneficiaries. You don't like insurance on the kids.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So insurance on yourself, that's 100% one side. You can drop that anytime you want. If you don't need it anymore, just stop.
But could I lower it?
Probably. They may want to do some underwriting, unlikely, but it depends how long you've had it. Depends on the company. There's a lot of variables. We could talk about that off screen. Just send me the front page of it. We'll see what we could do. But good for your son, going to be a nurse. That's not as easy as he used to be.
No. I mean, listen, he's also he worked at Sloan Kettering in between college and going into nursing school. So if he had to go the admin route, which a lot of nurses go through the admin route, they just become administrators, hospital administrators, and they're nurses by trade, but at some point they're not in emergency rooms or doing whatever. They're running hospitals.
A lot of medical doctors never go near a patient either. They get their MD and go do research or whatever else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that since he has that hook over there already, so we'll see what happens. But I mean, as far as the advice for the younger cops that are on the job right now, not the younger cops, but I'm talking about the guys who are near retirement right now.
Well, hopefully they've had some conversations prior to now if they're near retirement. For the young guys, I get them all in deferred comp immediately. When they come in, they interview. So if you got nothing going on, your biggest bill is your car payment and your bar bill. Put some money away. Latest come. And I usually get them in. If they're married, you got kids, and you got to talk to your wife. That's a whole different animal. But I've had guys come up to me years later and say, "Dude, thank you. Nobody ever did shit like that." And I hope I didn't do anything for them. I just said, "Fill this out. Probably a good idea." And I end up with a lot of money. Works out.
When it comes to the deferred comp and the money the where you put the money, because we used to have options. I don't know if they still have
options. Yeah, it's all pretty
okay.
much.
So what is your suggestion for there? I mean, for
the thing with deferred comp, it's very, very low cost because all you got is index funds. So you're either in an index fund or you're out of an index fund, or you could do a small cap, or you could do some social responsible crap. But this is about making money, not saving the planet. Save the planet on your own time. So
that's
you
why
can manage it, but you're kind of limited. All you get is the index funds. Either you're in or you're out. And trading is not a great idea. That just doesn't work. There's countless studies and bankruptcies out there that'll prove that. So what was your question? I'm sorry.
Well, you know what? Why don't we go to this? What's the difference between who wins presidents, who wins the presidency, as far as policy goes towards stuff like that? Like,
Good question. Actually, I just read a study today that the big money index is what they call it. What does the big money do leading up to and following elections? Going back to 1984, I think it was. It's pretty much the same. They kind of sell leading up to the election, and they get back in right after the election. For all of them, Obama, when we thought Hillary was going to win, all kinds of gas, the world's going to end. That's not what happens. Wall Street is kind of doesn't really matter who the president is that much. I mean, there will be some sectors that'll do better under Biden administration and the Trump administration. Few, but maybe some. You know, under Trump, most sectors are doing better. If this COVID thing wasn't happening, you know, construction, the infrastructure. Well, that's
that's interesting. The infrastructure and all that stuff. I'm just wondering who, like, if you are a blue collar person, and like, I know everybody's if you're blue collar, the idea is to vote for Trump, but financially, as far as policy goes, you know, is that the way to go too? That's what my point was, because I don't even know, who knows what Joe Biden's policies are. I can't seem to.
Taxes are going to go up, right? They've said that. He doesn't like Trump's tax cuts, so that's not going to be good for businesses or people. So that's definitely a negative. You know, that's kind of a deal breaker for me right there. More taxes. I hate fucking taxes.
Yeah, but he said the taxes are only going to go to the people who make $400,000 or more.
Yeah, that's a lie.
Lies.
Lie about that.
Except you and this, and because of that, and my guy's out and your guy's in. You know how it works.
That's
Those
great.
are reasons.
Tax the rich. Tax the rich.
Right. Stop. These are all the rich people saying that. Pelosi, come on. How much money is that bro got? We're getting taxed the rich. No, you're not.
Are you talking about the 2 Sub-Zero freezers that she had her $30 pint of ice cream in there?
Right? Yeah.
No,
You
she
got
had
one
like-
of those? I don't have one of those.
Like 30 pints of Haagen-Dazs.
Do you remember that? She had
Yeah.
two Sub-Zero freezers back to back. Who has
He doesn't
that?
even understand the concept. What do you mean I'm out of touch? Doesn't everybody have this?
Yeah,
No, everybody doesn't have
it was literally like let him eat cake.
right.
That's the same exact thing. 2 subs showing you the ice cream. Yeah, this is what we have here. It's a it's
People
a
are out of
dessert.
work for months and they gave him $1,200 and she's showing you fucking ice cream from a Sub-Zero freezer. Thank you.
I know, and then they're waving. Trump's waving at $1,200 again. It's like, come on, man. At least make it more. Make it $2,000. You really
The
want
problem
to
is we're in the Northeast where money's, you know, you need a lot of money. But if you're in Iowa, $1,200 is a fair amount of money. You know, just like that $10,000 cap on taxes that everyone was complaining about. Income taxes, state and local property taxes capped at 10. If you're in the Midwest, that's a perfectly reasonable number. Why are you giving so much money away to these people? For us, 10's a joke.
Here's another thing. You know, I'm sure you deal with a lot of NYPD cops, but you'll probably also have cops from other municipalities as well who don't really have as good as pensions as we have.
Well, some don't quite have as good a pension. Some have a much better pension. Most of the municipalities around here, they have the same pension, 20 years and now half pay. They don't kick in at all. They don't participate at all. It's fully funded by our employer. And the
Joe,
pension options when they leave are much better too. For
Joe,
a
I got
very
a
small
question
fee, you leave it
from,
to the web.
I got a question from a retired detective for you. He says, I'm 58. What's the downside to me assessing my deferred compensation money, even if I use it to buy a new home or a second?
You're 58. What's the question?
He's 58. What's the downside to me accessing my deferred compensation money, even if I use it to buy a new home or a second?
There's no downside to it. Show money, you can do whatever you want. The only thing is you're going to pay tax on it. A lot of people view that as a downside, but that's what you saved it for. You know, you're 58, spend the money.
But if he uses it to buy a new home and say he takes out $250,000, what's he going to get slammed for? How much?
He's going to pay regular income tax on it. The whole thing. There's no first-time home buyer stuff. They don't care what you do with the money. That doesn't matter.
So that's going to be taxed at a rate of say like 25 to 30%, right?
Well, depending on his other income, yeah. If he's retired, he's got a pension, maybe he's still working at 58. He's going to dump another $250 on a tax return. Yeah, he's going to pay pretty heavy. And New York's going to get a piece too. They get their piece. Once you're 59 and a half, the first 20K, New York doesn't get a piece, but otherwise they get a piece.
So then to answer his question,
It's just the cost of money. That's what it comes down to for me, right? So you're going to pay, let's say 27% federal tax and another 7 to New York State, 34% on your money. You're going to give away to not have a mortgage. Money's pretty cheap right now. You can get a sub 3% mortgage I mean, money's real cheap. Why would you use your own money and pay 34% tax on it? We could use somebody else's money and pay 3%.
Right, so he should borrow it from a bank and leave his money where it is.
Without knowing the whole thing, I don't know the guy's whole financial picture. I don't know what's going on, what he owes on the house, what kids, wife, other obligations, who knows? But as a general, yeah, I could live with that.
So it always seems that even though deferred comp money is your money, it's really not your money.
What do you mean?
When you do take it out, that's when you get slammed,
Well, you
right?
got to pay tax.
Yeah.
But you didn't pay the tax when you put it away. You paid Social Security and Medicare, so you don't pay that now. But you didn't pay regular income tax. That's why it becomes fully taxable now.
So say I wanted to take out $40,000. How much would I have pay in taxes on that? I wanted to clear 40,000. Say.
For you, we're going to gross it up. You're going to pay probably 35% for you. Actually, how old are you? You 59 and a half yet?
Gosh, I'm going to be 64 in December.
Oh, God bless you. So you know what? New York
Ooh.
doesn't get their piece. So I would tell you, you know what? Take 20 right now.
I might
Take
die
21,
soon,
take
man.
another-
Maybe I should take my money out.
Take 20 now. New York doesn't get any. Wait till
Yeah.
January, take another 20. There's your 40. New York still doesn't get any.
Hey, I got to say this on behalf of the show, just so we keep it going. If there's any listeners out there, guys are on the job, ready for, eligible for retirement, holding on, I may need a new co-host.
That's pretty fucking funny, Mark.
So I'm just saying, no.
Make sure you have good computer skills because he sucks.
You'll be good at everything.
Yeah.
Oh man,
What else you guys got?
I had a freaking question for you, man. How much what kind of difference does it make if you have a windfall? Like I'm always
What's a windfall? What do you mean?
like, for example, your parents pass and they leave you 50 grand. Does that in a lifespan, does that make a difference?
Not at all. It's your money. Spend it.
No, what I'm saying is just on the opportunity to purchase a home with it, or does it make a difference later on in your life if you ever actually had a windfall?
Does it make a difference if somebody gave you free money to help you get going? Yeah, that could definitely help.
Yeah, no, I always think about that because I think about my dad, how he left me nothing every day, and that's
Hey,
why
look,
I'm
your
in
good
this
work
space
ethic.
to commit. So I like to blame it. I like to blame it on him, but now I have a co-signer. Thank you very much, Captain Cain.
You got to put that one behind you, man.
I know. I'm 53 already. Come on, let it go.
Over. It's all you now.
Captain Cain, I want to borrow money.
We have some hard money people we know. What do you
Does
think?
it make sense to do one of those consolidated loans if you have outstanding debt?
Depends. If you have evil debt like credit card debt, American Express charging 28%, stuff like that, then yeah, we should have a conversation because that's just wrong. You should be good with the state of the police department. You might want to consider robbing drug dealers.
And how about bankruptcy? Is that a big thing anymore? Can people still do that?
Yeah, people still do it. I have people all the time do it. You can do 7 or 13, depending on what you want to do.
Like if you have shitty credit, what difference does it make if you get a bankruptcy anyway, too? I mean, when you start off again, don't you start off again like everybody's
You do, because most guys that end up bankrupt, the credit, like you said, is already taking a beating because shit is not going their way. So the odd thing is once you declare bankruptcy, your credit automatically starts to get better because you can't do it again for 7 years. So they know you're not going to stiff them again. So you kind of become automatically a better bet. It's not great, but it'll start to build up.
Uh-huh.
But there's nothing, I mean, people do it.
But the qualifications for bankruptcy are different now. Like there's something, what can you, like you can't get rid of IRS debt through a bankruptcy, can you?
You're not supposed to be able to, but you're also not supposed to be able to get rid of student loan debt. I had a client 2 years ago up in Orange County. Student loan debt was forgiven in the bankruptcy. So there's always exceptions.
And what's the average amount of people, the money that people claim bankruptcy at?
I don't really know if there's an average amount. We're talking about your average cop making 100.
Okay, so that would be you're talking about $100,000 in debt.
No, probably a little more than that, or yeah, that at least a year's salary. If you're in a hole that far, you probably need some help.
How about like 50,000?
Can we go to Vegas or Atlantic City? Maybe turn that around.
Yeah, not with my luck.
Let's buy some options on some Bitcoin. Maybe go that way.
Do you believe in that? Do you believe in the Bitcoin?
I believe in Wall Street greed. It's my thesis on Bitcoin. I don't know distributed ledger technology. I'm not smart enough to talk about that. But I do know that Wall Street gets their hands on shit and they commoditize it and explain to you why you have to have it, and they sell it to you with a markup. That's what's going on with Bitcoin. Just
So
watch
right
that.
now, it's what you're saying, it's hot on Wall Street.
It's actually just coming into the fore now. You hear about it on the news periodically. Fidelity just got involved in the game. JP Morgan's in.
So they legitimized it,
They're
basically.
legitimizing it, exactly. There's some
So-
white papers out there saying
So right now, as opposed, like what before, everybody was telling you to get into Bitcoin, and if you were reluctant, it was just because who knows what the fuck they're talking about. It could just be a Ponzi.
Right.
But now that it's involved in on Wall Street, I guess it's legitimized, so it's a thing now.
it's a thing. Yeah. I mean, I tell my friends, you know what? Take a piece. Don't go nuts. Buy one. Just put it to the
How
side.
How about that theory? I heard a theory that a lot of this thing with the COVID and the essential businesses were it's a way to get people to rely on another form of currency rather than cash now, because they were eliminating all the cash businesses. That was just, it's like a conspiracy theory, obviously, but there was this I read about it that, you know, it's a way. The conspiracy is that it's a way to get rid of cash businesses.
Well, you know what? You can go down a dark hole on the web reading that stuff, but it's founded in basis. There's a basis for it, is what I'm saying. India 2 years ago declared I think it's 10 and 20 rupee, whatever the currency is, but the most commonly used bill. They just said one morning, that's no longer money.
Well, what's it?
Wow.
India, they're small bills.
No, I
India's
got
a
that.
largely cash economy. The government came out one day and said, you know what? Their equivalent of our $20 bill, essentially, they said that's no longer money. So if you had a whole warehouse full of them, sucks to be you, because you have no money now.
Wow.
Their story was that they're doing it to prevent fraud. But really what they're doing is they don't get a piece of that. They hate cash because they don't get a piece because nobody tells them about the cash. So they really don't want cash around. They want it all electronics traceable, and they can take their piece. That's what it comes down to.
Wow, you see that? That's so interesting that you said that, because think about it. The hairdresser, the bartender, all these places that that are
Cash.
cash business.
Bartenders aren't cash anymore. You go out, right? These guys they still do okay, but they don't make the tips they used to when cash was going over the bar. You put it on a credit card at the end of the night, you close out, you know, you're getting 20%, but that's not hitting them with $5 or $10 every round.
Right.
I was spitballing there, but I mean, well, anywhere where cash could still be found, even in the smaller.
Well, let me tell you something. Just with my business here, this is what I've found out just through a non-scientific study. Nobody under 30 years old knows what a $50 bill looks like. It's unbelievable. They don't use cash at all. It's all debit. Everything's fucking electronic. They have no money in their pockets at all. That's just the way they roll. They just don't deal with money.
They're gonna, Joe, they're gonna find some way to still avoid taxes, even using.
Well, there's always a way. You know, they come out with rules and they're usually slow with the rules. So there's workarounds that come out usually pretty quickly after the rules are published.
Well, they're already saying that, you know, going to a cashless society is discriminatory towards the lower class.
Minorities, right? The lower income people, because they don't have access to banking. Right. That's the story. That's what they say. Who knows? That's what they say about a flat tax too. It's regressive. It taxes them more because, you know, they're paying it on all their income that they spend, whereas a wealthy person only spends a little bit of their income.
Right.
Hey, you ever watch a show like on Netflix or something like that, where, you know, there's so many of these shows about the crime and stuff, like The Perfect Crime. You ever watch like a financial one and go, wow, that was pretty good. That guy really.
Actually, not pretty good. There's a show on CNBC called American Greed.
Yeah. Well, okay. That was, I forgot the name of that, but that was my example.
It's pretty amazing. The balls of some people. I mean, it's amazing. I never watched one and said, wow, great idea. Let's fuck everybody over. But I just can't believe these guys go to, you know, their family, their friends, their neighbors, their church, their work, everybody they know. They take their money and steal it and end up in jail.
But you know something, Joe? Banks are pretty fucking evil institutions.
Oh, 100%.
When they had the real lowest home equity loans, it was about 3 or 4 years ago. And I tried to get one and they said, oh, your ratio to home equity isn't high enough. So we're not going to lend it to you.
Wells Fargo?
It was bullshit. No, it was Chase. It was bullshit. They just didn't want to lend it because the rate was so low.
Right. They want to hold on to the money. They don't want to lend it out. Right.
Also, with me, I had a house, and it was in Queens. The value of it, but you know, I was having a hard time keeping up with it, because what happened was when we had gotten into it, we were under one of those Sublime mortgages, and then once they flipped it, and you know, we got the real mortgage payment. I went from like having a house where I had to come up with, you know, 4,000 to 7,000. Obviously, I
What's a
could
Sublime, like an interest only?
I'm sorry.
What's a Sublime mortgage?
Well, it was supposed to be flipped. You know, it was you know, he had like 6 months or 9 months to
Okay,
like
okay, you're
get
gonna,
that, and then
yeah.
you know, you would go at the but it was something my brother-in-law talked me into. But then once we got to the real mortgage rate, and then you know, I was stuck with it. It worked. It turned out that it was a lot to manage underneath my salary. So, you know, at some point I reached out and I tried to get some help, and they were like, "Well, how far are you behind on your mortgage?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not, but we're fucking living like you know." And they were like, "Well, call us when you're, you know, you're behind."
Right.
And obviously, you don't want to be behind because that's your home.
Right.
That's your primary
I
thing.
see it all the time. They won't even talk to you unless you're behind. You tell them I have
And the
no money,
reason
and then
why
you
I
send them a
felt
check.
that way was because, you know, if they got my house, it would be in a good neighborhood where the resale value of it would match. And, it, you know, it was like I was out. That was it. And I was
Oh,
like,
they had equity. That's why they only put a certain, you know, they want to keep some equity in the house, so they have something to go after.
and some of these houses in poor neighborhoods or neighborhoods that were declining, they would, you know, that's when you'd get the money to bail you out and to keep you there.
Yeah, I
That's,
hear horror stories all the time. There's a town over here in Westchester, Mount Vernon, and I had a mortgage broker tell me a story. This guy, the houses were appreciating ridiculously. Nobody was really checking. So every 6 months, he would call this guy up and refinance. He'd make 10 grand. The homeowner gets 20 grand, then cash out. Shit and giggles all around until the housing market slowed down, and now the house won't appraise for the 750,000 that they think it's worth, because it's not anywhere near that. It's probably worth 200. And now Leroy's got to start making the payment, and it goes bad because he can't fucking pay that. He could have paid the 150 or the 200 when he did the first one, but there was probably some predatory lending. These guys are reaching out and saying, "Hey, let's do this again," because they're getting paid. They don't give a shit if he can make the payments or not. So we'll just do it again in 6 months. And it's kind of a musical chairs, and it's all shits and giggles until it ends. And it ends badly for the guy with the big debt.
Well, it seems like history is going to repeat itself because they're talking about like these banks, Wells Fargo. You mentioned that scumbag bank, right?
All bad.
And they're talking about now lending, you know, money in minority neighborhoods to people that, you know, shouldn't be getting mortgages. You know,
But that's not now, dude. That was the CRA from, what was that, the 70s or the 80s?
no, but they're starting to do it again now.
You got to loan to these, you have to loan to the, you know, the minority communities. And these banks said, they're not going to pay us back. We can't. They're bad credit. They don't have any money.
Right.
It's not our problem. You have to loan to them or it's racist. Okay. So what do? You loan to them, lose money, and then you got to make the money up elsewhere. So it's fucked up, but that's how it works.
No, but then the government winds up having to pick up the mortgages, right? Isn't it?
Oh yeah, no banks actually hold mortgages anymore. They get paid to process it. They don't care. It's not like the bank saying, "Hey man, I hope Billy Cannon makes his payment this month." The guy down at the local bank's not waiting for that. Chase, Wells Fargo, all of them. They get paid to process it. They send it off to Fannie or Freddie. They buy it. Fed buys everything.
Yeah.
So there's really no risk to the bank. That's how the underwriting it got so stupid. They would, if you could fog a mirror, you were getting a mortgage, and it's obviously got a little bit out of control.
Speaking of mortgages and property values and stuff like that, look at what's happening in New York City. Commercial real estate. I mean, for regular residential real estate, because it's a trickle down effect.
Right.
If you know, a lot of people pay money to live in the city because they hate commuting. They're obsessed with it. You know, they'd rather just be able to, you know, walk to work or, you know, one train ride. And now when you could work from home, you could live at your other, you know, you could move away, and they're selling these apartments.
Yep.
There's now the commercial real estate where people don't really have to have that much space. So what happens now? Like, how long does that take to
shake out? Well, after 9/11, it took about a decade before downtown kind of came back to life with some stores.
Wow.
Saying, you know, I could live here. It's going to take some time. I don't think anybody fully understands how bad this could get. I mean, people understand, but if the commercial real estate in New York City goes under, we got a big problem.
Yeah.
Well, it's going on.
So another big thing is that with this liberalism bullshit where they motherfuck millionaires, if these people don't come back to the city, that's the tax base.
Right. Why would you come back?
Yeah, let's talk bad about rich people and let them stay. Yeah, they're going to stay in the Hamptons if they don't have to come back.
Why would you come back if you don't
And
need
you
to?
get this, these communists like De Blasio and Cuomo's no better,
Like, worse.
Yeah,
Did you see
probably.
Crown
worse.
Heights last night, Borough Park with Trump signs?
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
It's all, something, it's unbelievable. Like they can just throw out the Bill of Rights and just violate people's rights. And, it's incredible. It's a scary thing, actually.
Yeah.
Well, what did you say about the Borough Park with the signs? What did they do last night?
Last night, they were unhappy with the new closures out there because of the COVID thing. So they
Uh-huh.
were actually protesting. They were burning masks and cardboard, like it was kind of a small protest.
So about the Hasids?
But the Hasids had Trump
I
signs.
love them, man. I love those guys, man. You know,
I love them.
they closed they closed the park there every day. They come with a new lock, and every day they would cut that lock.
They don't care, yeah.
And then not only that, but the problem right now is, the hands-off approach.
Right.
Well, they really had minimum manning the first night. You could see the video, and then as it escalated, like I worked the Grand Ribby's funeral.
Yeah, I was there.
Like,
We were there for the
in
Crown
like-
Heights riots. That was fun.
yeah, remember that? Remember that night? That lasted 2 weeks.
That was good stuff.
Yeah. I was in the Queen's Task Force.
Wait,
But anyway, so you know how pushy they can get, but you also but it's not bricks, and it's not nobody's gonna get shot, but you're gonna get pushed around. You might get hit in the back of your head, an elbow in the head. But so they didn't like the way they were handled. The cops handled the Hasids. There was barely any arrests.
that's always the case out there. It's a soft touch with them always. What's the point of arresting them? They're just going to get a call and say, let them go anyway. So
Yeah, but
something wrong with it.
it's not a level playing field because
100%
when the
so.
riots were happening, no one was wearing masks. No, De Blasio never complained, and Cuomo said he was on the side of the rioters.
Oh, dude, it's disgusting.
You know,
You don't think I'm on the other side? I couldn't agree more. I
so
think the whole
cops
thing
should
started.
be like this. Wait a minute, we couldn't touch the rioters. We're not going to touch the Hasids.
He's always had a hard on for like the Upper West Side. I remember was it a snowstorm? There was some huge storm that they didn't.
De Blasio didn't plow, but that was the Upper East Side. He left the money.
Yeah. Well, that was the neighborhood that usually got plowed first, so it sent out a message. He's plowing out people that weren't going to work anyway because they had the. It's like. But as far as the commercial real estate, if you go, I work in the city every day, so if you go past 3rd Avenue in the middle of the day, you want to talk about a deserted area.
What do you mean past 3rd Avenue? Going out or heading into the?
No, heading west
Okay.
towards the commercial area, because you get residential area in Midtown. It's probably 1st Avenue, York,
Right. Okay.
2nd Avenue. Once you get to 3rd Avenue, Lexington, you're going to step into commercial area.
How's it look?
There's very few people walking around there. If you wanted to get punched in your face, that's a great place because those are
Oh yeah,
pass on
I want to get punched.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
those crazy people that got to punch somebody every other day.
Right.
The numbers are down for them.
There's no victims out there.
They're waiting.
That's right.
Your chances right now, it's from 100,000 to 1 to 5 to 1. There's nobody walking in those areas because there's really very few people going into the office.
But think about the ancillary stores, the bodegas, not the bodegas, but the little delis that are there. They got
Yeah.
10,000 people a day coming in and buying a newspaper and a cup of coffee to pay the rent. Nobody's coming in because nobody's going to work. So all of these businesses just go away. It's horrible.
Another thing is, and we could talk about this in regards to law enforcement. They took, they made jumping the turnstiles a civil matter. And as a result, now everyone's jumping the damn turnstiles. But you know what their solution was to that? Congestion pricing. Let's charge Joe Cain, Billy Cannon, and Mark DeMeo. Let's sodomize them for driving their car into the city.
Cars are evil. You know that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but the problem is
And
now.
that'll cover the turnstile jumpers.
Yeah, but the problem is now that the city's deserted, that a whole plan with the congestion pricing goes out the window because nobody's really driving in.
Congestion.
And they just put up 2,000 speed cameras.
Yeah, I know. I got hit with one last night.
Let's hit the taxpayer again.
That's not about safety. That's just about money.
No, it's all
It's
about money. But we won't touch the turnstile jumper
Right.
because he's from the lower strata of society.
Dude, that's why the place it's going to hell.
You know what I'm wondering? How much are these guys writing right now?
Writing?
Because I never see, you always used to see, obviously the traffic agents are writing parkers or whatever, but you don't see cops really doing it
I know
anymore.
some. I've been on a ticket blitz myself for about 3 weeks now. I've been giving out more tickets in the past 3 weeks than I've ever did in my entire police career. True story. Give a cop a ticket. Pulling over cops and give them a lottery ticket. I say, hey man, just sharing the love. Most guys are like, what the fuck's going on? I'm like, dude, just here you go, it's for you. And they're like, oh, cool, thank you.
What are you doing? Say that again.
Giving cops lottery tickets.
Give a cop a ticket campaign. I'd staple a lottery ticket, scratch off. Here you go, man. Good luck. Just, cops are paranoid. So it says no tricks, no strings, no gimmicks. Just thank you and good luck. Might just drive away. Good luck, man.
Wow, that's a beautiful. I led you into that. It wasn't on purpose though, but that's great.
Yeah, share the love a little bit.
That's a wonderful idea.
Thank you. I co-opted it from somebody, but I took it to fruition. It's going well. Who doesn't want a free lottery ticket? I got a good story for you. My
Because,
daughter.
let's be honest. The writing summonses was a part of, was income for the city.
Oh, no, of course.
From the cops. And I'm like, if you're writing a fucking summons right now, and you're a cop, something's fucking wrong with you.
I don't think they are they? Are cops writing summons?
That's what I'm wondering.
I don't see many of them out there,
I think highway's still doing it, but that's what they do.
Yeah, that's another thing that bothers me too. It's like, if I know everybody wants to get back to regular work, and right now there's really no there's a couple of protests on the weekends here in the city, nothing like what was going on, but that would be a slow pace back to getting back to writing summonses, I would imagine. Because
why would you want to write summonses? People are finally coming back to work, leave them alone.
We always speak about where it all went wrong, and that was another thing too. It's like the summons thing for a while there was it was obscene. It's just the amount of summonses that we were giving out, and this monthly freaking quota. And who are we beating on? We're beating on the fucking.
I never heard that word before. What's that?
We're beating on
the goal. You mean a goal?
A goal.
Like, why would anybody be your friend? Especially because it was part of it. You come back, you had an activity report.
Oh, we had to do 10, 25, and 2 back in the 80s, right?
Yeah, it was 25, 5, and then it became you had to do 5 UF 250s.
Yeah, we never got on board with that. We just weren't doing that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, we had
an old timer say to me once, he goes, why would I fill out a wrong guy report? I go, what do you mean? Because you're asking me to document that I stopped the wrong guy. Why would I do that?
Right.
So, dude, I like that. It's a good point. I wouldn't do it either.
You were about to tell a story before about your daughter.
When I decided to do this, give a cop a ticket thing. Yeah. So I'm showing my daughter. She's a smart kid, and she goes, "But Daddy, just one thing. I don't know if she says, if you give away a ticket, if you buy a ticket and give it away, and somebody wins $10 million, that's going to bother you for a long time. So maybe buy a smaller ticket. If they win 20,000 or 50,000, that's good. You can have that good for you. But
you're right with that, right?
And I said, you're not wrong.
Yeah, that's good. That's true. And plus, those tickets are cheaper too.
Right, you buy $2. You win 50 grand.
Yeah, if you want to win the $1 million one, that's like a $5 fucking ticket.
Right,
$5. You know what I'm saying?
Right. We give something away. The Clarkstown cops don't want a $2 ticket. What are they going to do with 50 grand? You know what I mean? They need the millions.
Well,
isn't it funny?
They got big coin in Clarkstown, man.
They do well. If my son wanted to be a Clarkstown cop and we could say just Clarkstown and yes, you're getting a job, I would probably get behind that. But that's not the way it works.
Aren't they the #1 highest paid in New York State?
No. You got Ramapo does well, and Suffolk still has them beat. They do well. They're okay.
Suffolk still is the top.
Suffolk's still pretty high, yeah. I think Ramapo might be the top right now. That's a well-kept secret. Good guys. Everybody up here is pretty good guys.
I want to ask you something. Let's get back to the finances.
Okay.
Say you have $50,000 or $100,000 and you want to invest it. What are you going to invest it in now?
You can't answer that question, dude. Who are we talking about? You?
No.
Somebody that only has $50,000.
No, well, a couple of years ago, I came in and you said you should invest in marijuana stores.
Oh, dude, I'll tell you what, the weed stocks are doing well now. They're saying that Biden wins, which ain't going to happen. Weed's going to be legalized. Jersey is probably going to legalize it. They're saying 69, 70% are approving right now. It's going to be legalized in Jersey. And as soon as that happens, New York has to follow suit just for the money. And that's going to make the weed.
Yeah. To me, to me, New York dropped the ball on that with the amount of, the land that we have here, the resource. It just brings so much to the economy, not just the harvesting, the farming, the land, the real estate, the machine, the
Tax revenue.
everything.
How
All
many
of
potheads live in
it.
New
It's
York?
just, dragging your feet on something like this. New York has always been a conservative state when it comes to for new ideas. They're always the last one.
Yeah, they're certainly not cutting edge. But Vermont just I think today approved recreational marijuana. So it's another state, a neighbor of New York. Massachusetts is very legal. It's only a matter of time. So that should be a good place to invest.
Yeah, but my point is that by the time you jump on the bandwagon, you're already, behind the ball. The eight ball. I know you could come in. Now you're
They all ran last year, and then they all kind of gave it up. It's been a brutal year for the marijuana stock. So a lot of bottom fishing going on. Some good companies out there.
So what you're saying is it's inevitable. That would be
I think
might
so.
be good investment. I do it on the under end. I support the street dealers.
But that's fine. Everybody's got to eat. Right.
Doesn't remember Deputy Commissioner Dunn and the former chief of the bump? Aren't they run the security for a big marijuana company?
I heard something like that. I don't know though. I don't have any information about that. I thought I heard a whisper along those lines. Joe Dunn we're talking about?
Yeah.
Could be. I'm not sure. I thought he was with. It was a big bank initially. Maybe he moved on to a weeds.
Yeah, no, I would, because he was with the guy who was the chief of department that was supposed to be PC, that basically got off the job without getting indicted. What's his name?
Right. What was the guy's name?
I can't think of his name right now. But he
Banks?
ran. What's it? Yeah, Banks.
Bill Banks.
Yeah, Banks. Yeah, he was
I
actually.
heard too. Actually, I don't know. I don't know either one of them, so I don't know.
He was actually a very nice guy, but I mean,
Cool. He was a hustler. He had a lot of interest going on.
I heard he owned a lot of buildings in Brooklyn.
I heard the same thing. Good for him.
What do you think about all these cops that came on the job and they have college because it was a requirement? And some of them even graduated college and now they have their bachelors and now they're standing out there. Well, not right now, but a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, they're standing out there in the street getting yelled at, motherfucking their families and get hit in the head with bricks. And we're talking about for at least a decade now, you had to have college to get on the fucking job. So now you're yelling at like these people like they're blue collar workers, but they're not. They're college graduates, most of them, and they're getting treated like. So how are you going to recruit college graduates anymore? You're going to go back to the guy who got a GED.
I have no idea. How's the recruitment going? Are they having trouble drawing candidates in?
I think nationally they're going to have a hard problem recruiting cops.
I believe they have. Policing looks very unpleasant right now. I wouldn't want to. I would never survive in this
I don't
environment.
think it's just a New York City problem. I think it's a whole national problem.
All the urban centers seem to be on the same page as NYPD. It's a
Yeah.
shitty job in the urban center, but outside of like the troopers I talked to, they're still doing police work. They're back to business as usual for them.
Yeah, but are they in New York? Because they.
In New York, but they won't go into the city.
Yeah, the funny
getting
thing is that we were using the troopers here in the city. You'd always see them on the side of the road. We use them more as driving infractions and stuff like that. But now all these cities, these blue cities, they realize, you know what? Why are we paying so much for cops when we could just use the troopers and then let the state pay? And there's a lot of
what cities doing that?
well, in Minneapolis, there's a town there, and all over the country. That Oregon, when they defunded the police, they said they needed help.
How's that working out for them?
Yeah, it's working out great.
So now you have the state police. You basically have the federal government policing these blue cities because they want to use the money for their budget for something else.
I just read something yesterday. Minneapolis, right there, we were talking defund the police, and they actually defunded the police. And then the politician said, "Oh, I didn't know what that's what it meant. You're going to take their money away."
Yeah.
You didn't know that. What did you think it meant?
Yeah, isn't that funny? They retracted. They're like, "Well, I didn't know that you meant
You
actually
do
like,
it.
we're not going to have police."
Fucking stupid. How about that couple in St. Louis that got indicted the other day with the weapons outside the house when the fucking protesters were threatened?
I can't believe that. I just cannot believe that.
Well, all the trespassers got cut loose.
There's I don't think any rioters are getting prosecuted anywhere. Anything you did
Well,
during
there are.
free.
if you pay attention, there's a lot of them, but we're talking about the ones that are, starting fires, doing
Like the arson, like the real stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, the arsonists are getting arrested by the Fed.
Okay, good.
Yeah, good. It is good.
but as far as the couple that you're talking about, they let those people go. They didn't even indict them. The 9 trespassers.
Oh, yeah, right. Because that's a social program. That's not really about law and order.
But what you do is you're setting them up right now for a lawsuit against the homeowners, which they're not going to win anyway.
You never
Because-
know, man. An
well,
urban
yeah.
jury, who the hell knows what they're gonna give away? They don't know what money is.
When you take all the country, like the whole Republican, they're going to get backed. I mean, you talk about the lawyers they're going to have. That's not going to go. That's going to go all the way to the Supreme Court before those 2 people get in.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's just disturbing that it even has to, why are we playing this game? We know it's bullshit, politically motivated. Cut the crap.
Well, even if you look at the case of Breonna Taylor, that's a straight justification case. In fact, the sergeant was shot. He returns fire. She gets hit. Hey, we're sorry you got killed, but the drug business is not a
It's dangerous.
business to be in, And how can they try the mob mentality? Let's charge the police. They were shot at. It's like it's unbelievable.
Dude, back in May or June when it was going hot and heavy here in the city, I wake up one morning, I'm watching TikTok or Facebook or one of the fucking social things. I'm looking at this madness going on, and I showed it to my wife. I'm like, look at this crap. And she says to me, dude, they're not talking to you. You retired a long time ago. This has nothing to do with you. I said, I don't feel that way. I know I'm retired a long time, but it's still fucked up. I said, I got kids. What are you talking about? Defund the police. A society with no police? That doesn't bode well for most normal people. What the hell are you talking about?
Because once you're a cop, you're always a cop, man. It's in your
Right.
blood.
You still feel like, what? Fuck, law and order. That's the rule. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I've been telling people, listen, I just want to perform. I just want to be able to do my thing, and they took it away from me. But 2 things, man. I'll never go against the cops.
Right.
It's a 99.9% chance I'm gonna, just so you know.
Right.
I'm usually gonna side with the cop on this.
Just how it works.
So you know. And if that puts me on the side of law and order, and then I gotta pick where I'm gonna go from there, politically, then that's what it is.
Yeah, I can live with those terms.
But that I'm not. Those are my brothers and sisters out there.
I just can't figure out how this whole global pandemic morphed into fuck the police. Just
Well, you know what it is? It's off of Occupy Wall Street. They created a distraction very easy early on there. On the 3rd day, they were going after the bankers. Everything was coming out. They wanted to indict bankers, and then all of a sudden, police brutality. So they figured out that we can just use the cops as scapegoats,
right. Blame the cops.
just as a deflection. So you can't really see what's going on behind the curtain. And there's a lot of stuff going on behind the curtain. But in the meantime, let's pretend like people are getting abused and abandoned. And it's really the cops that are getting abused. You're like, you're basically a pawn in this freaking whole game until the election.
Right.
But what's funny is that it's come full circle because they expanded and used all their resources. And now you see all these back to blues. So now you're seeing all around the country, or every weekend, there's another demonstration somewhere back to blue. And God bless these people.
I agree. It's
You know
funny,
what
there was
I
a rally up here a couple of weeks back, and I was going, and my daughter, again, good kid in business program, says, Dad, sometimes businesses suffer when they take a side politically. I said, yeah, I know. I don't care. I'm with the cops. I don't care who knows that. I'll say it out loud every fucking day. I'm with the cops.
Yeah.
Right? That's the side I'm on.
Well, yeah, obviously, especially now with hiring, the first thing I'm going to do as an employer is I'm going to go to your social media.
Okay, I mean, when I hire people here, the young ladies, I always ask them, would you be willing to sign on to your Facebook account? I just want to see their face. Usually, like, sure. I'm kidding. I don't want to see it. I already got my answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you learn so much, and do you really want this person in there? Either way, radical.
You know what, though, it's interesting. How old are you? You said 54?
3.
53, sorry, I don't want to add anything to it. We didn't live our lives out loud like this. We didn't live publicly online. We didn't tell people what we're having for lunch. I don't understand why you tell anybody what you're having for lunch. Other than your mother, who cares what you have for lunch? Why are you posting that? But these kids, this is how it is now. They live their lives out loud online, unlike us. So they get caught, they're posting everything. We did some Stupid stuff we'll say, right, in our youth, but there was no cameras around. Now there's
Yeah,
cameras.
but you know what though? Also, too, we grew up at a time where we got taught lessons. One lesson was don't talk about religion or politics.
Yeah.
The other lesson was get a secure job. Why? Because our parents or their parents, they lived through a time where you could get in trouble for being one-sided politically or the other. So keep your mouth shut and don't talk about it.
Yep.
Religion too. You know what I'm saying? And get a secure job because you never know what's going to happen. And
Secure job is an interesting term. Is there such a thing anymore as a secure job?
well, you know, something that involves the government.
Right.
Like, you know, my
Or a
theory
utility,
is
something like that, a 9X or whatever.
look at what we're doing with the we asked them to be academics, the cops, right? And then right now we're defunding the police. So what are we're looking to actually add academics. When you add clinicians and you add psychologists and psychiatrists and all these social workers, where are you going to get that money from to handle the EDPs, the substance abuse, the homeless?
Well, none of those should actually be police issues.
They
primarily.
shouldn't.
There should be social workers or social
Right.
programs to address it, not the police.
Except when they respond to an EDP that gets violent, that's when,
Right.
I can just see them have an office of social workers in the precinct that are going to go out on EDP runs. Can you imagine?
Well, they're
that?
going to sit in the borough. They're going to sit in the borough, and then it's going to be a sector car that goes out, and they're going to go to this job and deem it nonviolent, and they're going to call. They're going to call the EDP car.
Mark, what's the difference between a social worker and a borough cop anyway?
Yeah, you're right.
They're about the same fucking thing.
Well, the borough cop
Social worker might actually come out.
the borough cop is the one that's going to be responsible for driving the clinician the social
Yeah,
worker
that'd be
to
good.
the scene. So now you're going to have a second car that's going to show up, two guys, deem this nonviolent. Okay, you can call the EDP car here. So we just wasted 4 cops to bring one person here. That's what's going to happen. Because they're not going to be able to send a clinician over there. Half of these social workers take the train and buses to get to places anyway. What are you going to give them, a radio? And tell them
You
they
talk to the guys that
respond?
work for ACS when they retire, same thing. They're social workers that go out and do home visits on these kids, and it's hard to do. They're taking public transportation. It's not a great plan.
No.
Certainly not responding in an emergency.
But what they're doing is they're really taking jobs away from money that was allocated to the municipalities, and they're giving it to academics.
What do you mean?
Well, the social workers, clinicians, they're all
Right, but
academics.
if I understand it correctly, when they were talking about defunding NYPD, right, they took $1 billion or $1.5 billion away from them. But they were saying, like, homeless people, we're going to take that and the responsibility for homeless people away too. So if you want to take the money and the enforcement responsibility away too, that's fine. If we don't have to deal with it, then we don't need the money. That's the way I understood. I could live with that.
Yeah, well, their money's going to go to clinicians.
All right, that's fine.
social-
Cops shouldn't be dealing with this crap anyway.
I agree with you. I agree with
Joe,
you.
how
but-
many times did a cop have to sit in a hospital 8 or 10 hours on an EDP?
But
Totally
dude,
a waste
for
of time.
2 hours at a time, go relieve the guy in North Central for an EDP or Holland Hospital. And
Right.
it went on for days at times.
Yeah, let them sit there for days. Like, so what, no police department minds getting rid of that duty, right?
No, right. That's babysitting. We don't need that. So if you can carve out the responsibility, then by all means, take the money. We don't need it. We'll do crime control. How about that? We'll go after bad guys.
Yeah,
I don't know why
I agree with you 100%. It's just that if you really, when you watch the academics and they're maneuvering and what they're doing with the money, they want to hook up their friends.
Of course. Right.
And they're friends, the social workers, they're academics. So when we take this money, and the irony is that all of the cops now they're academics as well because they got these 4 years degrees in
Well, a
criminal.
lot of them get 2-year community college and, cops are cops.
But a lot of them get the criminal justice thing, which is about as useful as a film school degree.
Yeah, where are you going with
You know
that?
what I'm saying?
Criminal justice is an oxymoron anyway. Where are you going with that? Right?
They get him though. Talk to Bill. He's a
Well, they do.
professor.
I used to.
All right, Professor Bill, I forgot about that. Hostos, right? Is it Hostos?
No, I taught at Monroe.
Monroe, pardon me.
I taught there for 10.5 years, actually.
How many?
10.5 years. I taught while I was still on the job.
What did you? Okay, was
When I
that fun?
retired, I taught for 5 years.
Was it good or not? Did you enjoy it?
It's good money. I like teaching, but I get tired of it. I get a little
Okay.
sick, Then I just wanted to do this comedy and, with acting and all that.
But you gotta be like
I can knock down about 2K a year, That's why I'm talking to you. I
Big
said,
bucks.
a financial advisor, because I'm not making any money anymore.
Well, I can assure you, you're not gonna have a tax liability if you're bringing in that kind of big money. Don't worry about it.
My wife makes big money though.
What is your do you have a prediction? Do you have an idea of when things are going to get better?
November 4th, I think things are gonna be remarkably better.
A lot of people say that.
It's just as political as it gets. I mean, it just makes no sense. I mean, what do I know? I'm just a schmuck cop, doing taxes. But I have a couple of doctor clients who were in during the year and they were telling me that doesn't make sense. When I learn what they're saying, why we're treating these people this way with this illness doesn't make sense to me, but that's what they're saying to do. And it's all coming out now that it's a whole lot of crap. Everything's COVID when it's not really COVID because the extra Medicare money and all that stuff. I don't know. It's horrible. They're shutting down economies. They're ruining lives. They're closing businesses.
I never understood this thing with the tests because there are obviously people that we have to look out for. We already know who they are. But these tests that come back positive and then taking them out, and then we're going to play again on Monday night, even though he tested positive on Thursday.
Yeah, but you notice now we're talking about positive tests and not deaths.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
saying.
who
It's
cares
like,
about a positive test? What happened to the guy? He was positive, and then what?
my
Nothing.
daughter's in college
Okay.
right now. You went out drinking, and the next day you woke up with sniffles and a cold. And you probably got it off of some kid that had a cold the night
Whatever.
before.
That works.
Well, college kids, we're 100%. We're at college. We're not going home. Let us fucking go.
Right.
So
So
my
from the
daughter-
beginning, if you have one of those comorbidities, you're old or you're fat or whatever, you got heart shit going on, if it's dangerous for you, you got to make some decisions for yourself. The
Yeah,
rest of us have to go to work.
I know the people. I see them in the street. I'm like, what are you doing here? You shouldn't. You're the one we're looking out for. I was
Hey,
at
you're
the
the guy
beach.
that's not supposed to be out.
I saw this fat dude by the water. I was like, that guy probably had it already.
The amazing thing is how it's become so split along political lines. Republicans think one thing and Democrats think it's the.
You know when it started, in my estimation, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, there was a storm forecast, a winter storm forecast here in New York. And Cuomo said, the streets are closed. Get off the streets. You're not allowed on the streets. Not, we think it's a bad idea to be on the streets. If you have an accident, if we have to rescue you, we're going to charge you for it. He said, you are not allowed on the streets. I said, fuck you. Of course I am. I'm an American. You can't tell me I can't go on the street.
Right.
He did. And we just took it. Everybody took it. And the next time they closed it down again. And now they're just used to saying, no, stay in your house, get back in there. We're just going, okay. Fuck that. No.
Right.
It just goes to show you how people don't want to go to events. Most people, you know how you get that freaking thing for a christening or a shower or whatever it is that you got to go to.
Yeah,
Now you got a great excuse. I'd love to come, but with this COVID thing.
Right. No, there's that, right.
Saving
So I got old people in my life, so we were careful, but
People are still planning weddings right now. I'm like, dude, you got the perfect excuse to not get married.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you, man?
right, you
Just
got to
say
take
we're
the
gonna
global
wait until this
pandemic.
shit dies down.
Right. That's a freebie. You can't even be charged with that one. That's not your fault.
That's what that's the line I used to listen. I'm pro gay marriage until they pass it. I don't feel comfortable getting married.
Well, now they passed it.
Hey, that was a pretty good joke, Mo. You sound like you're a comic or something.
Don't like that.
Now I switch it to the COVID. Until there's not one person that tests positive, I can't get married.
But seriously, who cares about a positive test? What does that mean?
I don't know what it means. It fucking bugs me out.
But the hospitals aren't full and people aren't dying, so who cares? Let's keep going. Let's move on.
You caught a cold.
Right.
Positive test means you might have a cold right now.
But if you're like, if you're a person with health problems, then you got to make some decisions. Maybe you should stay home and be careful.
Or I'd be fine. I'd be 100% fine with if I had a coworker that says, you know what, listen, I can't come to work because I live with my mother and she's got COPD. Okay, fine.
Want to hear an interesting story? A bunch of NYPD guys got accommodations, they called them, when this COVID thing started. A couple of guys I know, clients of mine, a couple of friends of mine even, and they were told, no, you don't have to come to work. You have to call at the start of your tour and call at the end of your tour and answer any emails we send you during your tour. But that's the end of your responsibility. So they stayed home for months.
Wow.
Months. And
Well,
then they finally, what's that?
Well, because of the COVID?
Because of the COVID. One guy, good guy, real good guy. He has asthma, a history of asthma. He told them that. They're like, dude, good. We'll give you an accommodation, stay home. They let him stay home for whatever it was, 4 or 5 months, just didn't go to work.
Uh-huh.
Were these Borough guys?
No, this guy I'm thinking of was in highway. He was out there writing summonses.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You have to make accommodations for that. But I'm sure if you talk to every business owner, would you mind making an accommodation for somebody who suffers from a pre-existing condition? They would gladly do it now. They
Well, I
would-
told all of my people when this shit started here in the spring, right, early spring when COVID came around, I said, listen, here's what's gonna happen. If any of you people get COVID and you go to your doctor and tell me you got COVID here in my office and the health department comes and shuts me down, you're gonna be a COVID fatality because I'm gonna kill you. Don't fucking do that. You get sick, go home and stay home.
Uh-huh.
Don't be telling on me. But it didn't come to that.
That was smart.
You know what's funny too is like a lot of these workers that you know, they're so happy they're working from home. They were also the people that, you know, really enjoyed doing those business trips that they really didn't have to do. But
I've heard of these
go to
things.
San Diego to meet with the you know, the merchandising guy. You know, we do that once a year. We go out to dinner, we catch a show, you know, I cheat on my wife. Yeah, it's great. It's a great weekend, you know, but now you want to stay home now and you're with the kids for freaking 8 months and you're never going to see that business trip again. You might go back to the office at some point, but by the time you get back to doing business trips again, because I used to look at these business trips and like, really? Why do you really need to go over there? You can't do that over a freaking.
A lot of business owners better face to face. A lot, believe it or not. People like to be face to face with big deals for some reason. But I mean, now we're finding out that you could Zoom and be wherever you need to be.
Yeah, they shot themselves. They didn't want to go back to work. Now you fucked yourself. No more business trips.
I don't know, man. I'm not the kind of guy I can't stay home. I mean, I love my family more than I knew I could, but after 3 days, I got to get out of the house. I just can't stay home. So imagine being quarantined. That would not work out for me.
Yeah.
No,
We were here the whole time. It was business as usual. Cops are going to work. They weren't told to stay home. So they wanted the taxes done. We came in. We stayed here. It's good.
where are you?
I'm in Rockland, right off by the Tappan Bridge. 5
Oh,
minutes.
that's nice. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Is it Joe? The town you're in? Is it Suffern or what's the name of the
No,
town?
it's Nanuet.
Nanuet.
Nanuet, yeah.
Someone was just asking. We'll give you a chance to say that when we close out. But
I perform at that club over there.
Which one? In the mall?
Yeah.
All right. Where are you going there? I'll go there. I went there a couple of years ago. It's kind of funny. My wife, her sister, and her sister's husband. I'm assuming the comedian is funny because people are laughing. I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. He's talking about dating apps. I don't do any of that stuff. He's talking about rap people. I do not travel. I have no idea what you're talking about. So I'm like, okay, I'm sure it's funny.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing when you try to figure out like where, especially when you were like 53, you know, and you're looking at an audience that's a little bit younger,
Right?
You know, and now all of a sudden, you know, I don't care about the baby and what song he has, and nor should I. It's an odd thing. Like, why would you be 53 and like still know rap songs?
Right.
Instead of looking at me like I'm hip, you should be looking at me like I'm weird.
Right.
Like, this guy's a pedophile. Why does he still know rap songs? You know what I'm saying? I'm an old man.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in, that transitional age, and you gotta make adjustments too, because the who comes out to comedy, young people, really.
Right. Yeah, how do you relate to them? And you know, now the 30-year-olds are different than we were 30. Like I said, nobody under 30 knows what a $50 bill is. So
yeah.
it's just a different world. Everything's electronic. They're totally comfortable with their phone. It's just different. There's no get out and come back, you know, be in by the time the lights come on, like when we were kids, you know. Now they're out there looking for Wi-Fi hotspots instead of looking for.
It's so true, you know.
I know the Wi-Fi hotspot. I don't even know how to get that, man.
You don't want to. Well,
Mark, talking about Wi-Fi hotspots, we're at an hour and 15. I think
oh really?
our guest was fantastic,
Thank
and
you.
see how we segued from finances. That's really not what this show was about. We
No,
talked about everything, right?
Right.
So, why
Life.
don't you plug your own business? Tell us about your business.
All right, I'm not much of a plug guy. You know me. I'm over here in Rockland County Finance Finance Group. Been doing this for a very long time. The lion's share of my business, it started as all cops, but then their friends and their family and their neighbors. So it's still probably 80% cops. I love cops. This is what we do. We can help. We'll help you.
Maybe I'll come there this tax season, and you know, I
Well,
mean,
it sounds like you got some other stuff going on. You may want to talk about seriously.
But I'm a psychiatrist, not a fucking financial advisor.
No, that shit I can't help you with, bro. The math stuff I can help you
He
with.
doesn't do that. He has another office that he sends you down the hall for that.
would you mind if I cried in front of you?
That's expected, actually.
Like whenever I hand my all those 1099s and all the things from, and I hand it to whoever's doing my taxes, I'm always like, like it's like the scariest moment of my life. I'm like, be gentle with this. Let's
Yeah, money is a very personal thing for a lot of people. It's very
use your imagination. I tell them. I always tell them, use your imagination.
Yeah, well, that's important.
The funny thing is too, because I'm an actor, I'm a comedian, I have all these, I pay union dues for the SAG, the AFTRA, and all these other things, acting classes. And this is going on for like 23 years. I figure the government's going to call me one day and like, dude, you're in a losing business. You should quit. Like what? You've been claiming a deduction for 25 years.
Dude, you know what? There was an IRS court case probably a year ago, and the guy took all kinds of expenses. He's trying to write a book, so he's trying to get inspiration. He's maybe embellishing a little bit, but he's legitimately trying to be an author. And he's taking losses every year. And finally, the IRS said, "Bullshit, no good." And he went to tax court. And the tax court said, "You know what? He runs a place and he operates in a business-like manner. He keeps business-like records. He has a profit motive. He just sucks at it. That doesn't mean that he's allowed to deduct it."
That's me. That's me.
So Mark, there's hope.
Silver lining.
A lot of write-offs. You can keep writing this shit off.
He
You
just
go to Joe.
He's a professional entertainer. He just sucks at it.
Joe,
It's not good. It's not.
You've been my accountant for a long time. I don't know. It's got to be more than 9 years that I've been off the job. I think I was with you before that, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably at least a decade, I would say.
Shit, it's a long time, yeah.
Time flies.
My argument with when we go to court, you can say, "You ever heard of Elvis or Frank Sinatra, Eddie Murphy, all these people?" Yeah. Well, this guy, he's not talented like them. But he's in the same business.
Same line of work, just a little different. Yeah, that might work. We can just bring you in and say, "Good, Mark, show."
We're gonna wrap this thing up, all right?
All right, good. Thanks
This
for
has
having me, Phil.
been Joe Cain from Finest Financial, great account, great financial advisor. We want to just plug a few things. Mark and I have this site called Patreon. We actually have 29 people that are paying to see us.
I thought it was 31 now.
31.
I signed up yesterday, actually. I never heard your term.
Joe just had his dipped in butter.
I never heard that dipped in butter expression before. I knew guys who lived it. I never heard it.
Joe gets some of that's finest financial money, and he joined Patreon.
There you go, $11. I think I can swing it.
There's some good content on there. It's our Patreon site. Mark does a show called One on One with Mark DeMeo, and I'm doing a show called Real Crime Stories. And this Wednesday, I actually have the former chief investigator of the New York City Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, Barbara Butcher, who is going to talk about the Gilgo serial killer murders. So that's going to be a great show. And you can only see if you pay that $11 have them dip.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And you're going to make your money back tenfold. When I bring my stuff to you, forget it.
We're going to keep you out of prison. It's all going to work out.
You'll get your $11 back.
There we go.
I bring a service dog with me because it's my anxiety. Whenever I go,
Yep.
I bring my service
marijuana right
dog.
at the block. It's all going to work out for you, Mark.
You're a great guest. Thank you for coming on with
Yeah,
us.
thank
I
you
really,
so
really
Thanks for having me,
appreciate
guys.
it.
Good time.
Fantastic advice. All the best to you. On behalf of Police Off the Cuff After Hours, thanks again for tuning in.
Take it easy.
Have a good night.